everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bearded Mainah. I am Kenny, aka the Bearded Mainah. On tonight's episode, we are going to be talking about a wonderful beer from LONEPINE Brewing. Now, LONEPINE is one of our bigger breweries. They have quite the far reach, meaning their beers can go further. You'll find their beers all around New England. So the beer that we're going to be trying today is called OJ. Let me grab that for you. Sorry, my light's a little bright, but OJ. This is a double IPA, and if you could hear my episode Beer More Than Meets the Eye, we discussed what an IPA was. It stands for India Pale Ale, and with it being a double, means that there's double or even triple the amount of hops that go into it. So I have already cracked this open, so we're just going to get right into it and take a big old swig. So that first taste you get is the hops, and then that mouth taste, or not the mouth taste, but that secondary taste you get is a very strong citrus note. It's really, really good. But it does come in at a whopping 8.1%, meaning that if you drink quite a few, or if you drink 2, 3, 4 in a short amount of time, you are going to be feeling that. But it is great. So LONEPINE has 2 tasting rooms, one in Portland and one in Gorham. I have been to both. Their ambiance is pretty awesome. Their beer is great. I highly recommend it if you're coming up to Maine and you want a plus brewery to swing into. Highly recommend them. So while we sip on this wonderful beer, let's get right into tonight's episode. So as you can tell, I've named the episode The Beerdcess Bride. If I had a drummer, you'd be hearing a rim shot. The reason I named it such is we're going to be talking about one of my favorite movies, The Princess Bride. And so one of the things that I talk about in a brewery setting when I'm drinking with my friends, when I'm hanging out and just having a good time, is we talk about movies. Talking about what we would have done differently if we were the directors, what we would have done with our aesthetic choices. But without fail, we always get to the point where we talk about casting and who we would cast in that role. So tonight's episode is going to be me doing just that. Sitting here drinking beers with all of my wonderful friends, and we're going to discuss who I would cast in The Princess Bride. The Princess Bride was released in 1987. It was directed by Rob Reiner, written by William Golden, who also actually wrote the book, which is a rarity. Most of the time, it's authors who write a story don't want to be involved due to creative differences. There's a few famous stories that I can think of. You've got King, who's angry at Kubrick for his rendition of The Shining. A great movie, great book. They didn't get along. They had creative differences. So a lot of the times, authors don't want to be involved in the creation of a movie. I had a college professor that said it best. He was like, I'm not an English teacher. I'm an author. So there's going to be a couple of weeks next semester where I'm not going to be here because I'm going to be on set. They're taking one of my books and they're making it into a movie. And I'm there for assistance, but they don't pay an author to write screenplay or scripts. They pay an author to leave. And that's kind of always stuck with me because it's something I've always noticed with movies. So yes, William Goldman wrote the screenplay and the book. It stars Fred Savage, Carrie Elwes, I probably butchered that name, Mandy Patinkin, and Robin Wright. So the synopsis is a sick boy is at home. His grandfather reads him a book about a farm boy there's pirates, there's mythical creatures, there's love, and in my mind, The Princess Bride is that perfect movie. But we live in a world where remakes are happening daily. Every movie that was made in the 70s and 80s, even the 90s, are being remade. How many Godzillas do we have? I mean, I did watch that last one and I did enjoy it, but how many Godzillas do we need? So, like I was saying earlier, we all have those movies that are just perfect in their minds. This is mine, but I'm going to try to do it justice by doing what would happen if I were given the keys to the castle and was able to pick actors from time and space. And so here is my casting for The Princess Bride. So, our first casting, we've got Wesley, our swashbuckling farm boy, who was originally played by Cary Elwes, and again, I probably butchered it. You know him from Saw. He's done an episode of Psych. He's one of those actors that's always in the background, and in my mind, didn't really make it as big as he could or should have. I will always watch him in a movie. I'll always be able to point him out on a TV show. He's just one of those people that he, in this movie, he has that suave, like, debonair, like the devil may care, like, attitude. The only thing that he cares about is Buttercup. And he's going to move heaven and earth, as you know in the movie. Like, he learned everything he could from the pirates. He gave himself poison in small doses to gain an immunity to it, all for Buttercup. Now, the person that I would pick, and again, this is my pick. Nobody else's. You guys will have different opinions, and that's okay. And I actually want you to discuss these. Please tell me, who do you feel would play these roles better? Or who do you feel would be able to do a different rendition? Please comment below whoever you want to play and let me know, and we will discuss. So, my first one, like I said, Wesley, I'm actually going to go with David Tennant. He has the ability to seem dangerous. We've seen him play a bad guy in Jessica Jones. We've seen him be suave in Doctor Who. We've seen him be charming in Doctor Who. We have seen him play a demon in Good Omen. We've even seen him play Unhinged in Harry Potter, which in that movie was probably one of the best roles, or not the best roles, but the best acting that I saw in that movie was David Tennant as Barty Crouch Jr. So I feel like David Tennant would bring that innocent, charming quality in the beginning, in that first act when he is the farm boy. But when he becomes the Dread Pirate Roberts, sorry, spoilers, guys. I don't feel like I need to have a toss out of spoilers for a movie that came out in '87, but still, spoilers. He can also put that edge to his voice and show that he has the skills to pay the bills in the later scenes when he becomes the Dread Pirate Roberts. That's my choice on Wesley. I feel like he could do a really, really good job. But moving on. But before I move on, I really need to take a sip of this, because this is really good. Buttercup. We've got Buttercup, who is, at the beginning, the daughter of a landowner where Wesley is working. Then later on, she's a princess. She's engaged to Prince Humperdinck, and I think this is my childhood crush coming out. Amy Jo Johnson. You know her from Power Rangers. She did another movie called Susie Q, where she again, spoilers, played a ghost. She has that innocent quality that Princess Buttercup needs, but she also has the ability to be the, what's the word? Not a damsel in distress, because she's not always. But she has the ability to stand up for herself. We've seen it when she jumps into the boat or out of the boat into the water with the eels. We see it when she is standing up to Prince Humperdinck. I think Amy Jo has the qualities to do both of those. Moving on to one of my favorite characters, Indigo, or Indigo Montoya. Originally played by Mandy Patinkin, one of my favorite actors. I could watch him in anything. One of my favorite roles with him, besides Criminal Minds, was actually his role in Elmo's Adventures in Grouchland. If you've ever seen the movie, you know he does a really, really good job, and he's hilarious. But with Indigo, he has a tragic backstory where he's trying to avenge his father, but he's a flawed man, and who has spent his entire life trying to gain this revenge. So there's a tragic, not a hero because he's not, but there's a tragedy to his character. And I feel like finding somebody who would be able to take that tragedy of watching somebody's father or watching your father killed in front of you and turning that into an intense desire of revenge is going to be difficult to find an actor who could do that well. I honestly think Bobo Stewart, and I mean, maybe some of you guys know who that is. He was Jafar's son in Descendants 1, 2, and 3. He was a Native American in the Twilight movies. He was a character in X-Men Days of Futures Past. He in Descendants, his character is very physically imposing. He's the jock, basically. And I feel like he would be able to portray the sword fighting and enjoy that, because the sword fighting. He would be able to portray that anger, and he would be able to portray that cool, not indifference, but that he's able to take that rage fire from watching your parent die in front of you and turn that into a cool resolve. In my mind, this is this time frame and this world's Batman. Speaking of Batman, not unpopular opinion, but my opinion is the perfect actor to play Batman is Idris Elba, who played Heimdall. He was in he was in a BBC show. He did the Dark Tower movies. He was a bad guy in the Star Trek movie, and nobody ever even knew that because you didn't see his face. The CGI was insane, or the makeup was insane. But he, in my mind, would play the perfect Batman. But moving back onto this, we've got Prince Humperdinck, originally played by Chris Sarandon, and I think, in my mind, I'm gonna have to go with Tim Curry on this. So, Tim Curry, in his massive, massive movie career, we've seen him play a charming person. We've seen, if you ever seen the movie Clue, he was the butler, and he was charming but ditzy, and he played that perfectly. We've seen him play Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror Picture Show, and he did a great job in that. I feel like he would be able to portray Humperdinck's charming yet evil quality really, really well. And I know, again, this is the first one that I have to preface by saying I know that this won't happen due to his stroke. But good night, he would have done a wonderful, wonderful job as Prince Humperdinck. Now we've got Rugen, who is better known as the Six-Fingered Man. This one, I kind of had like an epiphany moment. I was laying in bed and I was running running names through the old noggin, thinking about who would be a good Six-Fingered Man, and all of a sudden I was like, Andrew Scott. Now I didn't say his name in my head. I was like, the guy who played Moriarty in BBC's Sherlock. He's got that cool indifference. He knows he's the smartest man in the room, and he's not afraid to show it. So, if Rugen was, or not Rugen, sorry, if Andrew Scott were to play Rugen, I feel like he would do as good a job, if not better, than Christopher Guest. And Christopher Guest did a wonderful job. He was funny, but he was also terrifying as a child. So moving on from Rugen, we've got Vicini, originally played by Wallace Shawn. Now, he is like, the cadence of Wallace Shawn is, you're not going to find an actor that can match that. So if you're trying to find an actor that's going to mimic him perfectly, you just throw that away and just recast him. I didn't want to do that in my mind. I wanted to find somebody who was smart, who was funny, who was vindictive, who would be able to portray all of those in one go, and also brought a comedic factor to it in a way that most people wouldn't expect. So I went with Peter Dinklage. Now, if you've ever seen him in any of his stuff, he is commanding, he is charming, he is funny, and he is able to portray that humor without ever cracking a smile. And all I can think of is that scene where Fezic and Indigo are doing their rhyming thing, where Fezic says, "Does anybody want a peanut?" And all I can hear, or all I can see, is just that mental image of Peter Dinklage trying to calm them down while driving a boat. And I feel like that is not only funny, but also, funny. Funny's a good word to go with. Sorry, little food and my second beer. So, the last guy that I'm going to talk about tonight is Fezic, originally played by Andre the Giant. And there's a lot of things that people say about Andre the Giant. He was able to drink like 153 beers on one night on set. He did a 7-minute fart, I believe. Maybe it was 5. And again, like Vicini, if you're gonna go and try to find somebody who's gonna play that exact role, it's not gonna happen. But I wanted to think of an actor who was physically imposing, to be able to be believable for that Cliffs of Insanity scene where he's climbing up the cliffs with 3 people on him. It needed to be believable. When I was talking to my friend about it, he was like, "Oh, you should go funny and have somebody be like another little person, but everybody treats him like a giant." So his idea was Danny DeVito. If we could CGI Danny DeVito's face onto a physically imposing body, that could work. But I don't feel like that's necessary. There are actors out there that would be able to do this. But my ideal choice would actually be Michael Clarke Duncan. You would know him from The Green Mile. He was in Talladega Nights. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but if you've ever seen Talladega Nights, you know he could do that comedic role and he would be able to add that comedic factor in moments that are too serious. So, yeah, Michael Clark Duncan would probably be my ideal choice, or is my ideal choice for Fezic. Now, I'm not going to go in and cast Miracle Max. I'm not going to cast like everybody else. I don't feel like that needs to be done. Miracle Max did have a pretty hilarious role, and honestly, I would probably have cast Danny DeVito in that role, or no, I think Danny DeVito would have done a hilarious job as Miracle Max. I'm going to recant that. Miracle Max, originally played by Billy Crystal. My role, Danny DeVito. I think it would be funny. I think it would work. And I don't think it would turn it into a spoof movie, which is what I was trying to avoid. That's why I actually sat down and thought about actors over the gamut. Now, again, I'm going to preface this, or not preface this, I'm going to. My disclaimer for this is I know this will never happen. I know it can't happen. I mean, I'm grabbing somebody from the veil of death and bringing him back to do a movie. So this is my perfect casting. I want to hear what your perfect casting is. I would love somebody to go into the comment section and be like, no, man, like David Tennant would be funny, but maybe this person. Or, okay, I see where you're coming from with Amy Jo, but I don't believe that at all. Here's who I pick. Mandy Patinkin was the perfect game to go. Pick again. Whatever. I want to hear your thoughts on this, so please comment below. All right, guys, that is another episode of the BeerdedMainah done and gone. I am going to let you guys go. I will see you on another episode. If you guys would be so as kind as to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss another episode of the BeerdedMainah, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great evening. Hey, everybody. Are you like me? Do you have a beard? Do you have a bearded man thirst? Well, then you need the emotional support beard tumbler. Trust me, I carry this around all day, every day, just sipping water, giving my liver a break. If you want one, I got you. Message me for details. Hit me up. Email below. I got you. You don't want a tumbler? I got the emotional support beard stickers. Those belong on your Beardmobile. I know my car's got one. If you are interested, like I said, DM me below. I got you.